Homelessness can happen to anyone. According to the National Alliance to End Homelessness, about 30% of those who have no permanent home are people living in families with children. And usually, those homeless families are made up of single women with limited education and young children. Hello, and welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Sheila Hyland. My guest today is Marissa Williams. She is CEO of Hearth, formerly known as North Hills Affordable Housing. And Marissa, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know that homelessness seems to have come to the forefront of the public's conscience during COVID. How has COVID exacerbated the issue of homelessness?
Well, when you think about this whole concept of social distancing, virtual learning, a lot of this has had a huge impact on the homeless community because you're looking into a Hollywood Square for the children that are supposed to be in class, and some of them just are not showing up. And you don't necessarily know why they're not showing up, but there's a myriad of reasons. Making sure that you have access to internet services. And if you are couch surfing, if you're living in a car, if you're living with other family members, you might not have that regular access Monday through Friday to be a virtual student, much less thinking about all of the other traumatic experiences that you're going through as a young child. And so when we think about not just the adults and what that has done for the homeless population, but also thinking about what are our children going through during COVID, not having that consistent break of being able to go into school to get 3 meals during that school day, and having to depend on, what might be available when we think about those bag and go lunches that the schools made available, which was great. But when you think about homelessness, think about the fact that any face that you see could be the face of homelessness, and you just don't know.
That really hits home. I have firsthand seen the amazing work that Hearth does and its beautiful facility. For those who don't know, what is Hearth all about? Who are you helping? How are you helping them?
Well, Hearth is an organization that specializes in transitional housing. I like to say that this organization really is an A to C organization. We take families who are experiencing homelessness and try to provide them with resources to be able to have access to living wage career opportunities. It's not just about a job. How do we provide families with sustainable living wages so that they can eventually get into permanent affordable housing and hopefully move on beyond permanent affordable housing into market rate housing one day? And so our families serve women and children. And as recent as September, we have become more inclusive, and we are serving transgender individuals with children as well.
I know that Hearth uses something called people first methodology in this role. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. And so People First actually was something that I developed when I was working in a previous role for an organization that was experiencing bankruptcy. And one of the things that I realized, when companies are going through stress, sometimes the most important piece of your organization gets forgotten, and that's your people. And so that's one thing that was birthed out of kind of that trauma of going through bankruptcy with an organization. Always remember to keep your people first. And when I came over to Hearth, that was something that I made sure was critically important. And I expressed not only to my board, but to the staff. And so for the first 6 months, my focus was on my customer. And some of you might think, well, your customer are the families that you're serving. My customer is the employees, as the CEO. And so if you make sure you're taking care of those employees, in turn, our employees provide phenomenal services to the families that we serve each and every day.
And yes, they do. I can attest to that. What are the requirements to qualify for help from Hearth, and how does someone get in touch with you?
Sure. So you can go to our website, which is hearthpgh.org, and there's a button that says Need Housing. as well as a button that says safety exit. So if you are in a domestic violence situation and you're looking at our website, if you click that button, it will not come up in your browser history, which is critically important because we want to make sure that we're protecting the people that are looking for those services. But if you fill out the form that is on our website, you'll be connected to Pam, who is our program director. She will be responsible for intake, reaching out to you and get you on the list so that you could be vetted for intake. And so at this time, if you're experiencing homelessness, if you're in a domestic violence situation, and you aren't necessarily homeless, but you don't feel safe where you are, reach out to Hearth. We are happy to bring you on site and help you. The other arm of the business that Hearth provides is permanent affordable housing. So we actually have 15 units of permanent affordable housing in addition to the 16 units of transitional housing that we have on campus.
Hearth is making such a huge difference in the community. Marissa Williams, thank you so much for being our guest today. And until next time, I'm Sheila Hyland for Comcast Newsmakers.